I object. How oftentimes have you gotten that at the end of a presentation? The customer looks at it and says, man, I can't afford it. Well, how about this one? Had it before and never used it. How about this one? That price is way too high. That's a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but look at all it does. You can make it really simple to handle objections, or you can make it really difficult. I mean, the best way to handle an objection is to ask questions. When a customer objects to what you're offering, you need to start asking questions instead of telling them all the reasons why they should buy. I'm going to share with you how to handle what I consider the 3 most common objections that you'll get in F&I. The last one is, I can't afford it. I'm going to share how I would handle I can't afford it after I share with you the first 2. How often have you gone to F&I presentation, you look at the customer and go, which option works best for you? And the customer says, you know what? I really don't need it. I really don't want it. I never buy that stuff. What do? You ask them why? Why won't you buy it? Why don't you buy it? That's not the way to approach it. Ask them why. Because they'll say they can. It's their decision. I don't want it because I don't want it. I don't buy it because I never buy it. I think those prices, those products are useless. Useless? These products have a lot of value, and not necessarily to the right people. They have value to everybody, because there's one thing that these products give that money can't buy, and that's peace of mind. You just simply can't buy peace of mind. And with the high prices of vehicles and the high payments that the customers are paying right now, they need that peace of mind at knowing that they're not going to have to spend any non-essential spending. What does that mean? You have essential spending when you buy or lease a car, and then you have non-essential spending. I mean, let's face it, you got to make the payments, you got to put insurance on it, you got to put gas in it, you got to maintain it. That's all essential spending. The customer is prepared to do that, but they're not prepared to spend for a tire and wheel. They're not prepared to have to replace a key or repair a ding or dent, or take the loss of at trade-in time because the interior exterior is soiled. They don't think of those things. We need to bring them to light by asking questions. So the best way to handle, I never buy that stuff, I don't need it, I don't want it, is maybe just say to them, or just simply ask them a question. What is it about the certain programs that concerns you? For example, if you know a customer is putting high miles on a vehicle, why don't you ask them, what is it about the service contract concerns you? After all, you're going to be doing 18,000 miles a year. At the end of 2.5 years, you have no more warranty. Tell me, what is it about the service contract that concerns you? And let them talk, and they'll tell you. And maybe that will give you an out. You know, they may say something like, well, that price is too high. I mean, $3,200 for a service contract? That's a lot of money. Yeah, but look at all it does. And then explain to them what it does. And explain to them that based on your driving habits, based on what you mentioned to me earlier, you're going to be out of factory warranty. And you're going to be in a vulnerable place when it's the vehicle's most likely to break down. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. and Mrs. Jones? Mr. and Mrs. Jones looked at you, yeah, I agree, but you know what? I'll take my chances. And when they say I'll take my chances, you look right at them and say, by stating you'll take your chances, you do see somewhat of a risk, don't you? And the customer will look at you and say, well, there's a risk in everything. The quickest way to riches in this world today is to transfer risk to someone else. That keeps your money in the bank. Don't you realize that, Mr. and Mrs. Jones? I mean, here you are. You have a current payment of $460. Another $40 a month isn't going to change your lifestyle in any way, shape, or manner. But certainly, having a breakdown of $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 wouldn't it? Because it looks at you, yeah. So what other concerns do you have about the service contract? That's how you get customers to say yes. And sometimes don't put so much emphasis on service contract, because the customer's relying on the factory warranty, and they may have that in their head. I'm relying on the factory warranty. That's why I don't need a service contract. But your factory warranty, based on your driving habits, if in fact you did determine their driving habits before you gave a presentation, or maybe during your presentation, you're able to state to them, but based on what you told me, you're going to be out of factory warranty, and you're going to be in a vulnerable place. You don't want to be in that place, especially in today's economy. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. and Mrs. Jones? Yeah, and you do it very casually. You don't put a lot of pressure on them. You just try to have a conversation with them. You know, you can open that door by simply asking, what is it about this certain product that concerns you? You know, I understand you have the factory warranty and you're going to rely on the factory warranty, but what about other people's driving habits? What about road conditions? What about the weather? So on and so forth. These are things that are unpredictable. I don't have a crystal ball where I can, predict the future, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. These are things outside of the factory warranty. You know, I often joke, just because the factory warranty doesn't cover it doesn't mean it can't be covered. You can cover yourself for those non-essential spending, like a lost key, a ding or a dent, soiled interior, soiled exterior. There's coverages for those. Your tires and wheels. How many times have you been sitting in your F&I office and got a call from Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and Mrs. Jones says, hey Bobby, when I bought the car a year ago, did I buy that tire and wheel? Because I have a tire and wheel and I need to replace my rim, and they asked me to give you a call to see if I had it because I can't find any paperwork on it. And isn't it nice when you're able to say to Mrs. Jones, I have great news. You did purchase it, and here's the 800 number to call for the claim. Just make sure you take a picture of that tire and wheel before they repair repair it or before they dispose of those tires and wheels. That's a happy customer. And these are stories that you should be telling your customer that refuses to purchase a tire and wheel. How about lost keys? How many times have you seen a customer in service reprogramming a key? You realize the consequences of losing a key by having to reprogram a key? You have to tow that vehicle from where it is to the dealership because they need the vehicle here. That costs money, okay? A number of these things are not even under factory warranty after a certain period of time. Powertrain coverage. That covers only 10% of your vehicle. Your vehicle's made up of 90% of your vehicle's made out of sheet metal, glass, wires, nuts, bolts, and sensors, and modules, and semiconductors, and all these electronics. Every time you press that start button, every time you press that key fob, hundreds of lines of codes are running through your car. This is how you get people who weren't interested, who say, I don't think I'll need it. I never buy that stuff. That's how you get them thinking, rethinking. You basically boost their curiosity and get them talking. And oftentimes, they simply talk themselves right into the problem. Boost their curiosity and get them talking. And oftentimes, they simply talk themselves right into the product. So the best way to handle that type of objection is to simply ask them questions. What's your understanding of the factory warranty? What's your understanding of the high cost to replace those keys? Or how the high cost to replace those low profile tires or rims? And how about the condition of your vehicle? How it will affect the trade-in value? If you ask those questions, you open their mind. So that's a way of handling one objection. I don't need it. I don't want it. I never buy that stuff. Open their mind. The other objection, had it before, never used it. How many times the customer said that to you? Had it before, never used it. And what do you say to them? In your head, you don't think they want it. They had interest in the program before. Why did you purchase the last time? Ask them that question in case something were to happen. Exactly, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. And that's the same reason you should do it this time. After all, you had the peace of mind of knowing that if something were to happen, you had the coverage, right? They look at you, yeah, you're right. Don't you want that same peace of mind this time? It can be that simple. The wrong way to do it is say, look, you bought it before. You don't want to you don't want to roll the dice. In fact, I have the dice right here, okay? That's what a lot of F&I managers do. They throw the dice at the customer when the customer says, I had it before and never used it. All right, you were lucky the last time. You might be unlucky this time. That's simply not the way to handle it, man. You got to use a little finesse. You got to ask them questions. When you had it the last time, didn't you have peace of mind? Of course I did. Don't you want that same peace of mind this time? You mind if I ask you a question, Mr. and Ms. Jones? You say you had it before and never used it. Why did you purchase it the last time? You get them thinking. Again, boost their curiosity. That's how you get them to buy more product. So we covered the two basic rebuttals that customers throw at you. Hey, I don't need it. I don't want it. I never buy that stuff. I did buy it once before and never used it. What just happened? You look at the customer and go, so I guess you feel like you wasted your money. And the customer looks at you, yeah, I do. Well, you really didn't. And they look at you, what do you mean I didn't? I spent some money and I didn't use anything. I've often done the same thing. Bought something, never used it, but I had peace of mind. The same peace of mind that you had. And don't you want that same peace of mind this time? Once again, it can be that simple. Now let's get to, I can't afford it. Now that's ridiculous. What do you mean you can't afford it? You can't afford not to have it. If you can't afford it, it's all the reason why you should get it. Because what if something were to happen? That's not the way to handle it. The way to handle it is grab a calculator. Okay? This is the best way to handle it. Grab a calculator and have them use their cell phone and have them go to the calculator and walk them through this exercise. You've seen me do this before, but I want to share it with you again because the best way to handle I can't afford it is to prove to them that they can. And here's how you do it. You ask them what their current monthly payment is. You don't tell them. What's your current monthly payment, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, that you're comfortable with? And they say $480. And you say, take the $480 and put it in the calculator. 480. Hold on, 480 divided by 30. 30 is the number of days in a month, the average number of days in a month. So you divide that by 30. What do you got, Mr. and Mrs. Jones? $16. So you're comfortable spending $16 a day. Now let me explain something to you, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. See, most people are on a mental budget, not a physical budget, not a written budget. And you're probably like most people where you keep enough money in the bank to pay all your bills, including the $16 a day you got to pay for this car. It's going to be in the bank. So when that invoice comes in or that, the bill has to be paid, the money's in the bank. You got money in there to pay your insurance, you got money in to pay the mortgage, your rent, you got money to put food on the table. You got enough money in your mental budget in the bank to pay your bills. And sometimes you only pay a portion of your credit card because you can't pay the whole thing off because you don't have enough money in the bank. That's a budget. That's today's budget because the economy is so flexible today. No one can budget and stay on a strict budget today. I find it virtually impossible. And I'm the same way. I keep enough money in the bank to pay all my bills. So remember, you're paying $16 a day, but you have some interest in some of these products, whatever product that may be. It might be a tire and wheel that they show interest in because you got to ask them if price weren't a concern of yours, if you could afford it, which one one would you think you'd like? And they'll tell you. And then you use that. So now you've shown them that they're paying $16 a month. You have them write that down. That's $16 a day. You have them write that down, $16 a day. And you look at them and say, the program that you're most interested in, well, let's go with a service contract this time, is $28 more a month. And I get it. Seems like a lot on the surface. But take that $28 and divide that by the same 30 days. What do you got? 93 cents. It's only going to cost you an additional 93 cents a day to have that coverage. Now, is 93 cents a day going to change your lifestyle in way, shape, or manner? After all, you spend daily, don't you? You have some disposable income, whether it's in an ATM card or it's cash in your pocket. I spend them between $5 and $10 a day on average, between, a pack of gum or a coffee or lunch. How much you spend a day? Well, I spend between about the same, $5 to $10. So 93 cents isn't going to change your lifestyle, but certainly having to spend $1,000, $1,500, or even $300 is going to, have some effect on your lifestyle that day. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah. So don't you see the value in enrolling in the service contract for only 93 cents a day? Doesn't that make sense now? Better sense than not having it? And that's how you handle the I can't afford it. If you want some free advice on how to handle customers' objections, you got to visit us at www.prodprep.com and take a free test drive. Because I'm telling you, all the answers are there. Until next time, go get them.